In the opening scene, we are introduced to a kung fu master named Zhu Yuan, who brings a new student named Qin Bo to the Shaolin Temple. He introduces the boy to another student, Jun Bao, and instructs him to brief him about the temple's code of conduct. After the master departs, Jun Bao initially addresses Qin Bo as a junior. However, Qin Bo, who is taller and older than him, insists on being referred to as a senior. Afterwards, Jun Bao and Qin Bo are seen sweeping the floor when they hear a group of students practicing kung fu techniques. The two of them peep through the door, and Qin Bo expresses that he could outperform them if given the chance. Just then, a senior student approaches and instructs them to get back to their chores. When the two boys inquire about his identity, the latter starts bullying them, asserting that he holds authority as their senior and can hit them anytime he wants. Truly, what martial arts are all about. Furious by this mistreatment, Jun Bao and Qin Bo decide to complain to their master, Zhu Yuan, but to their surprise, they find that their master is meditating under the scorching sun. Seeing this, Jun Bao plugs off a plant to cast some shadow on his master, but Zhu Yuan imparts the lesson that everything has a life and that they shouldn't harm nature for personal gain. After this, the two boys express their desire to learn kung fu as a means of self-defense against the bullies. Their master agrees, but tells them to only use it to help others, and also to leave him alone for now, so that he can finish getting a third-degree burn on his dong. Later on, the mischievous duo locates the same bully, encases him in a cloth, and beats him up as their revenge. However, the senior student is able to recognize them, due to which they are subjected to a punishment by the headmaster. The two are made to kneel in the sun without any food for the entire day. Dong burns abound. A short while later, Zhu Yuan comes to them and berates them for their action. He pretends to punish them in front of the headmaster, but discreetly provides them with some food. Following this, the two boys are assigned with the task of cleaning the Luo Han Hall. Amidst their work, they also practice kung fu using their brooms. As the years go by, the two boys group up together to become best friends. Both of them are very determined to master their kung fu moves. Their training includes breaking stone piles with their heads, mastering headstands, and practicing iron palm techniques, and so on. Then, one day, they receive news that their upcoming promotion exam will be held soon. The scene then fast forwards to the day of the exam, where the headmaster announces that only the top 4 students will advance to the Da Mor Hall for further study of superior martial arts techniques. The first round features a duel between Qin Bo and another student. Qin Bo easily wins the duel, but he is disqualified due to his excessively aggressive intent. This obviously upsets the boy, and he ends up insulting the headmaster in front of everyone. In response, the latter begins fighting him in order to teach him a lesson. Jun Bao attempts to intervene, but he is thrown away. During the battle, the headmaster is astonished to discover that Qin Bao knows the technique of the Buddhist palms. Hence, he commands the remaining students to form the Luo Han pole. Let's see him palm that pole. Now, it is our two heroes versus several students in a totally unfair battle, but they still manage to fend off their attackers. After a while, Zhu Yuan finally arrives at the scene and brings the battle to a halt, allowing his two disciples to make their escape. This further infuriates the headmaster, so he accuses Zhu Yuan of taking his students' side. Afterwards, the two boys meet with their master to offer their apologies. However, Zhu Yuan informs them that he can no longer serve as their master, and they cannot remain at the Shaolin Temple anymore. Before departing, he claims that he has no concerns about Jun Bao, but Qin Bo has a competitive personality. So he hands Qin Bo a book that can help him in finding inner peace. It's called Playboy. With this, Jun Bao and Qin Bo venture into the outside world, seeking their paths in life. In the next scene, we see them wandering aimlessly through the streets. Since they haven't eaten anything for days, they approach random people for food, but nobody helps them. A short while later, they come across a group of menacing henchmen who are harassing an elderly shop owner for money. The old man refuses because he's already burdened by financial woes. Despite this, the thugs don't listen and begin assaulting him before taking the money forcibly. At this moment, a lady named Miss Li shows up, who cleverly steals the money and returns it to the elderly man. When the criminals realize the money is missing, their leader promptly orders his henchmen to beat her up. A brawl ensues, and to everyone's surprise, Li seems to have good martial arts skills. She initially takes down a few men, but is quickly outnumbered by the rest of the group. Jun Bao and Qin Bo, who are witnessing all of this from a distance, finally decide to help her out. With their impressive kung fu moves, they fight the thugs, impressing the bystanders. But when they notice the additional reinforcements arriving, the trio opts to flee the scene. They quickly disguise themselves with fake wigs and altered clothing, allowing them to escape. Later, as the three are walking through the bustling streets, the people suddenly start clearing the way. It turns out that the governor, Liu Jin, is passing by the town. Seeing this procession, Qinbo expresses a desire to be as rich and powerful as the governor. However, Miss Li warns him that the governor has the heart of a viper, as he has taken the lives of numerous people. After this, Miss Li leads the two brothers to a restaurant for a meal. While they eat, they are captivated by the melodious music played by a woman named Xiu Lin. It turns out that Xiu Lin has been searching for her husband, who has been missing for days. With nobody to support her, she sustains herself by playing the Sangxian. I don't know what that is. Meanwhile, it's clear that Qinbo is developing feelings for Miss Li, as he can't help but gaze at her. I think Qinbo is confusing feelings with a half-chub. Shortly after, Liu Jin's sister enters the restaurant with her new boyfriend, who actually turns out to be Xiu Lin's missing husband. This revelation enrages Xiu Lin, prompting her to get into a brawl with the governor's sister. After a long battle, she gains the upper hand, but her husband, who is eager to please his wealthy new wife, strikes Xiu Lin on the head with a stool. This prompts Jun Bao to step in. He takes on some of the governor's sister's bodyguards before making their escape with his group. Following this, the four of them arrive at a hotel where they decide to spend the night. At midnight, Jun Bao and Qinbo notice a group of rebels who have stolen 300 taels of gold from Liu Jin. The next day, the two come up with an idea to make money. They announce to the townsfolk that anyone can punch them for a cent. They also promise to return 3 cents if they cry out in pain. In response, a man and his boys give them over 100 cents and start beating them up. Those kids will grow up to be shit. However, they endure the beatings without flinching. A short while later, the governor's second-in-command approaches the duo, demanding a portion of their earnings as taxes. Jun Bao initially objects, but when the commander threatens them, Qinbo reluctantly hands over the money. He then makes a fool out of himself to impress the commander. Surprisingly, the plan works, and the commander asks him to join the royal eunuch, where Liu Jin is recruiting new members. Qinbo readily agrees, but Jun Bao is a bit hesitant. At last, he decides against it, resulting in the separation of the two best friends. In the days that follow, Jun Bao starts living in the restaurant with Miss Li, Xiu Lin, and some other rebels. Some days later, Liu Jin's goons show up at the restaurant to collect illegal taxes, which seems to have increased due to the governor's greedy nature. However, Jun Bao and the rebels refuse to pay. This infuriates the goons, who then launch an attack on them. A fierce battle ensues, but Jun Bao's group overpowers the assailants, one by one. Despite this, one of the men manages to escape to alert Liu Jin. Jun Bao attempts to chase him on a horse, but his inexperience with riding causes him to struggle. Just then, Qinbo, who is now a soldier at the royal army, arrives at the scene and kills the escaping man. The two friends then reunite and exchange stories about their divergent lifestyles. Before departing, Qinbo warns Jun Bao to stay clear of the rebels, as they might get him into trouble. The scene then cuts to a competition that is being hosted at the royal barracks. It's revealed that the one displaying the most exceptional martial prowess will be chosen as the general. The contest begins, and a talented guy consistently defeats all the soldiers put before him. He then challenges anyone to a duel. Qinbo grabs this opportunity and steps in for the fight. To everyone's surprise, he easily defeats his opponent and continues to take down the other challengers. Eventually, the competition comes to an end, but it is disclosed that Qinbo has surpassed his rank, leading to his disqualification as a soldier. On the following day, Qinbo shows up at the restaurant with some shocking news. He informs Jun Bao and the rebels that Liu Jin has discovered the killings and has dispatched troops to apprehend them. This worries the group, prompting them to pack their belongings and immediately vacate the restaurant. However, the restaurant owner is not so lucky, as he is caught and mercilessly killed by Liu Jin. Later on, Qinbo, Jun Bao, and their companions resolve to assassinate Liu Jin in an effort to put an end to the ongoing conflict. Qinbo points out that the majority of the soldiers will be away for training in a couple of days, making it an opportune moment to carry out their assassination plan. 2 days later, Jun Bao and Xiu Lin assemble the local rebels and proceed to Liu Jin's barracks. They discreetly make their way to her quarters, only to be surrounded by soldiers. Here, it's revealed that Qinbo has set up a trap against the rebels, as well as his best friend, showing his loyalty towards Liu Jin. Soon, hundreds of soldiers launch an assault. The rebels try their best to fight them back, but the soldiers kill them one after another. In the midst of this commotion, Qinbo takes Miss Li to his study, as he wants her as his partner. Meanwhile, after a lengthy and brutal fight, Jun Bao somehow manages to escape the barracks with the other 3 rebels. In the aftermath, Qinbo's loyalty impresses Liu Jin, so he promotes him to the position of embroidered uniform guard lieutenant. Yeah, I just made that shit up on the spot. How do you like it? He then orders Qinbo to persuade Junbao to work for them, or else eliminate him if he refuses. Later that day, Qinbo approaches Miss Li and starts forcing himself on her. Just then, Liu Jin enters the scene and asserts that a soldier shouldn't jeopardize his career for the sake of a woman. Also, a soldier shouldn't be a friggin' asshat. As a result, Qinbo kills Miss Li to prove his devotion to the governor's words. Still an asshat, though. Later, we learn that Xiu Lin has also been held captive at the barracks. It is only a matter of hours before the evil guys kill her as well. A short while later, Junbao arrives at the barracks to rescue her. As per Liu Jin's orders, Qinbo tries to convince his friend to join the royal barracks and become rich like him. However, Junbao firmly declines and expresses his profound disappointment in Qinbo, who betrayed his closest friend for the sake of money. This results in a head-on brawl between the two former best friends. For the first few minutes, they're unable to harm each other, as both of them are equally skilled. But Junbao soon gains the upper hand and manages to free Xiu Lin from captivity. The duo manages to somehow get away, but Junbao is injured in the process. After running for a while, Xiu Lin brings Junbao to his safe house and provides him with medical care. The latter's injury seems to be so serious that he starts to display signs of mental instability. Regardless, Xiu Lin dedicates her day and night in his care, hopeful for his eventual recovery. In the next scene, Qinbo makes all of his soldiers practice rigorous kung fu training. He warns that those who won't comply will be terminated right away. Apart from this, he also provides Liu Jin with a report on the captured rebels and huge amount of tax revenues collected. One day, Junbao is suddenly reminded of Master Zhu Yuan's teachings, so he starts reading the book about inner peace. A centrifuge. Over time, his health improves. Within the pages of the book, he learns about the concept of a swirling ball, yeah, he does, that can deflect other objects upon impact while remaining stable. He also grasps the idea that even in stillness, there are underlying movements. These insights inspire him to create a new style of martial arts that uses soft movements to counterbalance power, speed, and strength. In the meantime, Qinbo interrogates villagers about Junbao's whereabouts and resorts to killing everyone who refuses to divulge the information. Upon learning this, Junbao and Xiu Lin make a bold decision to confront Liu Jin and permanently end his tyrannical rule. We then cut to Liu Jin walking through the streets with his sister, accompanied by several soldiers. Suddenly, Junbao and Xiu Lin appear out of nowhere, intercepting the convoy. After this, Xiu Lin engages in an intense one-on-one combat with the Emperor, while Junbao confronts Liu Jin's sister and her bodyguards. The battle is deadly, and both sides showcase exceptional martial skills, but in the end, the good guys emerge victorious. Following this, Junbao and Xiu Lin capture the governor as a hostage. They then proceed to the army camp in order to confront Qinbo. Seeing this, the soldiers attempt to intervene, but our heroes hold their swords to Liu Jin's neck, compelling them to back off. Soon after, Qinbo approaches them and engages in some trash talk. He then begins to clash with Junbao, thinking that he is still the superior fighter. However, Junbao is now fighting using an unseen style, which he calls Tai Chi. He is able to fend off all the attacks with ease. As Qinbo nears defeat, he orders his soldiers to attack Junbao. However, Liu Jin, who is still held by Xiu Lin, forbids them from intervening. This angers Qinbo so much that he kills the governor in order to gain complete control over the troops surrounding them. But to his shock, they still refuse to obey him, as he just betrayed their leader. The troops then stand down, leaving Qinbo's fate in Junbao's hands. Now, with nowhere to go, Qinbo pleads for mercy, but Junbao ultimately finishes him off, bringing all of this to an end. In the final scene, Junbao and Xiu Lin part ways, and our hero returns Qinbo's ashes to the Shaolin Temple. The movie ends as he establishes his own school in the Wudang Mountains and begins training as a Tai Chi master.